Hey, yo guys, and welcome back for another Blue Protocol Star Residence video. So today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my launch plans for season 2 and just kind of talk to you guys about like my overall goals, what I'm going to be working on the next few weeks and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and jump into it. If you guys don't know this, my dog currently has some health issues, and so I have a doctor's appointment with him early in the morning on the day of the launch. So we're going to be streaming after we get home from that. So it probably won't be until like 11 a.m. PST, maybe a little bit later. But my plan is to more or less stream a lot of our adventure along the way and kind of, be around for people that want to ask questions or want to come by and do something or whatever. My plan is to be working on, a couple of different things along the way. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing over the next few days is actually I'm going to be making a brand new accounts. This will be a third account for us and a seventh character, and I want to do this for one particular reason. There's a new player experience kind of event that they now have in the game that as a new player you get access to, an instant boost to level 60, I think, and like a few other things, but I couldn't really test this on the test server, and I want to be able to make a video talking about the new player experience, or if you were to come back and play the game, kind of what your experience would be. So that's definitely going to be on my list of things to do for probably the first few days, especially while we wait for more dungeons to open up. That's not all. We're also going to be doing, of course, gear grinding and stuff like that, but this new player experience I think is pretty important, and I want to make sure that I make a video about it relatively soon, so it is going to be a kind of higher priority. My plan is probably do the main character, and then once I get it to a decent spot, just kind of pivot and work on the seventh character. That is part of my plan, but the other characters that are already made and I've already been working on them throughout season 1, I'll just go ahead and throw them up during this time. You'll probably see some images and stuff like that of them. The main 3, we're looking to still be a Moonblade on my blade. I am planning to summon for Rorola's will and try and get that crafted sometime within the first few days. I really want to be able to just kind of like show it off to people and let them know like how it feels and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that it will be a pretty fun and exciting new kind of toy to try. I do have about 10,000 rose orbs saved up. They announced that they're also giving us like an extra 2,000 as a launch gift or something, I think I saw on social media today. So we have about 12,000 orbs and I think like 40 pulls to our pity on the will banner. I don't know if that will transfer over or not, but either way, I think we have enough to get her. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But then, yeah, we'll have to figure out where we're putting the rest of those rose orbs and how we're gonna craft her and stuff like that, but it'll be a fun time. I really like that class, and I've talked about it a lot. It's really nice when I'm streaming. I don't really have to pay a whole lot of attention. I can still do really good damage, and it's not really a big deal. And on top of that, they got a lot of buffs, and they're getting even better in season 2. So I'm just going to continue with that character. That's definitely going to be my main for probably the rest of Blue Protocol. Even if I do switch the classes, that character in particular, I already buy the battle passes on that one character. And so I'm probably just going to continue doing that. And yeah, that character will be my main for the foreseeable future. Now, the other 2 characters are a little bit, undecided on the main account. So previously they were a Lifebinder and a Shield Knight, but I do think I want to switch things up a little bit. I'm actually a little bit torn what I want to do with my support character. So I was previously a Lifebind, and I do really like that class, and I want to make a video about it and everything, but I don't really think I need to invest in it in order to play it even at a high level or do raids with it or whatever. So I don't really think I'll need to worry about that too much, and so I kind of did want to dual spec into something else. I'm not sure what that's gonna be yet. Part of me wants to do a DPS just because it'd be easier to get into groups, and I can use inlet gear on a Frost Mage, so that definitely came up as an option. Another option was maybe to go Dissonance or Concerto. To be honest, of the 2 B performers, Concerto does personally scratch that itch for me a little bit more, and I kind of do like the idea of switching to Concerto. I thought that'd be kind of fun, but at the same time, it's just kind of the same thing, and it's not a DPS, so people are probably less going to be likely to invite me to groups on a Concerto than they would as a Lifebinder. And then the other option would be to switch and try and invest a little more into trying Smite. Now, I haven't done enough research on this to really understand what I would need to make Smite work, but I have been seeing more and more people talking to me about Smite in Season 2, and so I am kind of curious to try it and see what the class can provide. Now, I personally like kind of trying to play everything. everything. And so like Smite, Icicle, and Heavy Guardian are the only things I haven't played, and I'm planning on picking up Heavy Guardian, I think, on my main character, so that way I can do some tanking on my main character as well. That will kind of give me at least some reference for Heavy Guardian, but I still don't have the Icicle or Smite kind of figured out yet. So I thought it would be, you know, good to at least look at either one of those classes. Now, I don't know if I would pick up one of them on the tanking class that I have already, or what I would do there. I could double tank, I guess, on the same tank, and that's not a terrible idea, but again, for the same reasons, I kind of wanted to have the option to tank on my main, and then also, you know, it's easier to get into groups as a DPS, so even the tank, I was thinking about switching to like Skyward Midnight, and again, you share that main stat gear, so that's kind of an option. I'm not really sure what we're gonna end up doing, but that will be something we think about over the next couple of weeks and kind of really kind of get solidified and start farming gear for it and stuff like that. If you guys are enjoying this video or any of the other season 2 videos, you know, feel free to drop a comment with anything you guys want to talk about or anything. Like the videos that you do like. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more season 2 content. We're also going to be covering Arknight's Enfield when that releases in about another week here. And so that'll be part of our like normal content cadence, so don't freak out if you see me posting a bunch of videos for Arknight's Enfield. We're going to also be doing videos for Blue Protocol still, and we're very much going to be playing and streaming that over on Twitch, and I also now stream on YouTube, and hopefully you guys can check out, you know, Arknight's Enfield with us as well. That is kind of one advantage to a slower content rollout. You know, we are getting the dungeons over the next 2 weeks or so, and so if you do take a few days off and play like Arknight's Enfield or a different game, it's not really going to be the end of the world. Even after the 2-week rollout of the dungeons, you're still going to have 3 weeks to farm normal and hard mode to try and get your gear before the raid comes out, so you got plenty of time. I also want to mention that the Blue Protocol Star Resonance team actually created a support a creator code for me, which was awesome, and so it is a way that you can help support me and the channel. And so if you go and buy Rose Orbs online, I know a lot of us are going to be looking to pick up some of these new season 2 outfits and skins. You can go to the link, I'll put it in the description below, but I also put it on the screen, and then when you go and purchase it, there's a section on the bottom left that says support of creator. You just type in my name there, Zarinessan. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Really, in a weird way, is like, you know, another step forward to like doing the whole content creator thing more like legitly. So I'm so grateful, and yeah, we'll get back to the video. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about my day 1 plans. So my day 1 plans, as I mentioned, once I get home and I get online and start streaming, we are going to be, like I said, streaming a lot of the launch and stuff like that. I want to do as much of the exploration as I still can with you guys, but also we already know about some of it, right? And so we can start kind of making a plan on what we want to do. I'm going to be min-maxing my 120 gear, which does mean farming out like my best in slot yellow gear from hard mode dungeons. Now, hard mode dungeons have been updated to give you guaranteed drops at every clear, so it does feel a little bit more rewarding than it did before. So that's a great change, and I'm happy to see it. Should also make farming some of your best in slot gear at least more palatable, right? Like before, having to go potentially 6 runs without a drop if you weren't using a cheer up treat felt a little rough. So now it shouldn't be too bad, and hopefully that will be a fairly enjoyable grind. I personally like grinding dungeons like that, so I'm probably going to do that on my main 3 no matter what. And the reason for that is because we have the raid coming out in 5 weeks. Sure, it's coming out in 5 weeks, but if I want to try and gear 3, 6, 7 characters to be pretty efficient and pretty well, you know, suited for going into the raid and trying to clear hard mode easily on day 1, you know, I probably want to have some degree of min-maxing, and that's actually what I would recommend you guys doing too. But you guys probably only have 1 character, and so doing it on 1 character over the next 5 weeks really shouldn't be too bad. If you don't remember, when we were originally doing Rin is Corgi, the Ice Dragon, on hard mode on the first day and the first week, it was actually quite a bit more difficult because the way the release cadence works, right, is we get access to 120 dungeons and, you know, the 120 legendary gear, and then what happens is they drop both the normal and hard mode raids, and then at the same time they give us the ability to farm 140 gear from some of the dungeons. I don't remember if it's some of the dungeons or all the dungeons, but the point being is that a lot of us, at least when we were doing the Is Corgi Ice Dragon, we were doing a lot of that with the level 40 gear that we still had. We didn't have like full 160 gear or anything like that yet. And so if you really want to be able to tackle that kind of challenge, that under geared, you probably need some degree of min-maxing. And I would assume that's going to be the case now in season 2 as well. Now, when it comes to my other activities, another thing I'm going to be focusing on is probably trying to get my characters in a place where they're set up for making the gem crafting for the sigils. Now, the sigils take different gems, and my main character does have enough mastery points where I could probably just buy like everything new in season 2. I'm not kidding, it has like 50 mastery points saved up. My other two characters are not so well equipped, let's say. And so unfortunately, they're only going to have the option to like really invest in like one or two things. And so for me, I'm going to be trying to go through each character and kind of try and map out which sigils I'm looking for, and then potentially start even farming some of those sigils so that way I can get the decent upgrade that I think they're going to be, especially early on. I think those sigils are going to be very, very handy, and there are a lot of stats, guys, a lot of stats. So if you go into the open world and you farm the mobs that you can, I think, just farm infinitely, you should be able to get those sigils, and some of them can give you like 200 stats, right? So that is quite a bit of investment, and of course, since these are gems, you don't really want to slot them into just anything. So again, it kind of plays into that whole idea of trying to farm some of my best in slots. So as each new dungeon comes out, my goal is more or less going to be to farm that dungeon, get my best in slot, and then I'll already have my sigil ready and waiting to go for that. Even if it is only a blue sigil at first, still going to be a lot of additional stat points that I think that we're going to really, really want, especially when it does come to progging that raid in that first day or first week. Now, is that going to be the best way of, getting someone the most amount of Luno? Probably not. I don't really know for sure what's going to give people the most amount of Luno. I can't imagine you're going to be having people buy anything from alchemy right now. There's no raid, there's nothing like that. Now, when we get closer to the raid launch, people will probably be buying more stuff from alchemy and everything. But, the first few weeks we have normal and hard dungeons, and so that's not really complicated activities, right? You don't really need to pot or use serums or whatever for normal and hard dungeons. I do think there's a possibility that like weaving could make some decent money with like dyes and stuff. If you've been sitting on some dyes, we are going to be getting new cosmetics, and people are going to be looking to dye those cosmetics. So I would imagine that would be some amount of Luno, but again, this is not really like a money making guide or anything like that. My real plan is setting up my characters and getting ready to go into the raid when it does come out on week 5. So that's more or less my plan there. But that pretty much is it for my day 1 plan. So after my day 1, I'll probably have things a little more narrowed down, and we'll go over that. I'm hoping, like I said, to kind of plan out which sigils I want and things like that as well. So that way I can have some idea of like where the direction of each character, where it's going and stuff like that, what I need to work on. So we'll definitely go over that after the initial launch. And then also I do need to explore more of the seasonal stuff because I wasn't able to do that very much on the test server. It does require you to have more people around to do some of the harder stuff. So I imagine the launch of the season will be a good spot for that if it's not time gated. If it is time gated, we might not even see some of that stuff for several weeks. So we'll have to ultimately wait and see how that goes. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for watching so much. If you guys liked the video, like the video down below. If you have a question or want to comment about anything, discussions or whatever, feel free to add a comment down there. I'm always checking the comments every single day, so no worries. If you guys do add a comment, I do read them. I read them all. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.